Hi there, I'm Candid Frank Stanisci of Candid Frank Live. Welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now on Candid Frank Live, joining me as usual, Aaron William Freeland, the strong man of the show. And Aaron, we scoured the news today, and you sent me a bunch of suggestions. We're gonna test your suggestions, buddy. We're gonna see what the litmus test on what you offered us. Starting with, of course, the CFL. Well, we talked about the CFL this morning, so okay. We'll this afternoon we'll forget about that. The Argos won, yay! Saskatchewan won, yay! And what was the third game? Hamilton won. So there were three games, and those three teams won. Congratulations! But the real big news is there's a new baby in the National Hockey League. It gave birth. It was born, and it's called the Kraken. And they won their first game, beating Vancouver, didn't they?
Yes. So basically, Seattle opened their preseason in Spokane, and they ended up taking down the Vancouver Canucks in front of just a few fans. It's 10,208 of them. The Kraken came from down 2-0 to win the game, 5-3. So there was that to look forward to. Some positive signs. They don't seem to be getting off on the wrong foot. As it is, the CEO, Todd Lewicki, was very optimistic going forward. He said, it's just magnificent. It's heartwarming, it's stirring, and I feel emotional just walking that concourse. So a lot of people are glad that hockey's back.
Yeah, and he is the guy that basically set MLSC on the right track. He's the guy that really made TFC the winner that it became. He's the one that brought the Argos into BMO. He's the one who hired Brendan Shanahan. He's the one who hired Masai Ujiri. If he does somewhat what he did with MLSC with this one team, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be real interesting. The guy's pretty brilliant, and he also supervised he supervised, he was in charge of all the changes that were made to BMO so that it could accommodate more people, as you know, and the Argos.
Yeah, there might be something to it. If he can do with the Kraken what he's done with all the other teams that he's been associated with, this guy might be a certified sports genius by the time he's done his career.
We're going to find out.
Yep.
We're going to find out.
I mean, as it currently stands, they've also been targeting Alaska in their Seattle Kraken outreach. And I know they're going to be playing the next couple of games in the Puget Sound area just to try to raise more awareness, not necessarily in their new arena, but around it. So if you can build hype and everything like that in the areas around your arena, then that bodes well for you, especially within the city.
Well, he knows how to grow, and he knows different sports. He has a pretty good idea how to do stuff. And he comes actually from, for those of you that might have heard of Michael Jackson, he worked for the company that promoted his last show before he died. So, so he has a lot of media savvy, if you will. And we all know sports today, more than anything, requires media savvy. Speaking of savvy, the Leafs lineup, you sent it to me. It looks interesting. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I thought it was interesting. And with Toronto fans, it's feast or famine. I know that there's been a lot of comments going around about this lineup already. In particular, looking at Joey Anderson, Adam Brooks, Semyonder Argachintsev, who's been a hope for us. This is a chance for actually Torontonians to see a lot of the new guys that we signed, like Gusev, Kampf, Kasha, Ritchie, Semyonov. The only actual real veterans I can see drawing in on the forward space is actually going to be Wayne Simmons and Mitch Marner, who are going to be seeing a little bit of action. Marlies fans are familiar already with Adam Brooks. On defense, we've got Carl Dahlstrom, Travis Dermott, Justin Hall, Morgan Riley. Those are the three guys that are not surprises. However, we also have William Villeneuve drawing in, as well as Christian Rubens, who spent some time with the Marlies last year. So we'll see how that goes. And as it currently stands, Jack Campbell is believed to be getting the start in the pipes with Peter Mrazek backing him up. So this is obviously not the star-studded game one opening night lineup, but at the same time,
of course it isn't. It doesn't include Gabriel.
There's a lot of exciting prospects here. Gabriel was 1 assist away from a Gordie Howe hat trick in his first exhibition game.
He was. So, and he's a tank. He's a tank. Did he play for the Marlies last year?
No, he played with the San Jose Sharks.
Okay.
And was one of their enforcers in big bodies. Speaking of big bodies, the Maple Leafs have a gentleman by the name of Curtis Douglas drawing in. I'm not sure if this is a mistake on the
guy that's 6'7",
listed as 6'9".
6'9", okay.
237.
This guy. I know a little bit about him. They drafted him. He's drafted by them.
Yeah, he was he was acquired as a free agent, I believe, on July 27th.
I read a little bit about him, and he's a guy who's been slow on the development, but they're saying that he's really starting to develop. You know, a big body takes a little longer to grow into, right?
Yeah. I mean, he was drafted originally by the Dallas Stars in the 4th round in 2018.
Gotcha.
So I think because he never actually got signed by them to any sort of contract,
yes,
after 3 years, his rights revert and he becomes a free agent.
The thing about the Leafs, and it seems more and more. When Babcock was here, he complained, and all the complaints that he had seem to be coming true now, more and more. They're becoming more of the Babcock team than when he was here.
I know that he did express a desire for certain types of players, and he
never got them. And here they are now. Here they are because Dubas tried it his way, didn't work, so now he's got to try it a different way. But you know what? Give the team a chance. Old axes don't need to be ground. Right now, this is a team. It's a lot different than last year's team. The biggest challenge with with the contracts is that they have to change a lot of the small pieces. They can't keep certain pieces. They lost. We all know they lost Hyman, unfortunately, a victim of the cap. And we'll see if they can find. There's a couple of players like Richie, for example, that they figure, and you can find another Hyman, because what we're talking about is a player who works really hard and is willing to do the spade work and get in the corners. And if you can't find somebody like that, it'll be very difficult to find anything, because that's basically, there should be somebody out there. They should have 3 or 4 guys in the lineup right now that could fill that role, because that's just a willingness to work. That's half of what Hyman brings, a willingness to work.
That and a really hard head.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the finding a replacement, a hard worker and a grinder to replace Zach Hyman should be one of the easiest things to do in the NHL, because there are plenty of people that work really hard, game in and game out. The problem is finding the right match for the Leafs of the person that grinds. You can't just throw in any grinder. You got to find somebody that's got the chemistry. For example, like Hyman had with Matthews and Nylander. That whole setup there was absolutely fantastic. So, it's a question of finding the right fit, even amongst what should be the most easy to find parts.
So I guess that answers the question of who is, or who even is, on this team.
After a fashion, yes. It's a twofer.
The docuseries that the Leafs were a part of, apparently it's really hard to watch.
Yeah, I mean, according to some of the folks that have actually seen this, and that includes some of the players on the team, it's a really hard watch, especially knowing the end result of falling short in the playoffs. This is directly from Jack Campbell's mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's obviously, it doesn't end for anybody who's followed the Leafs. You obviously know it doesn't end with them winning their first Stanley Cup, or even winning their first playoff series in the past 17 years. Instead, it holds a mirror up to the entire organization for everybody to look at, and realize where they've gone wrong and what needs fixing. According to Campbell, he says it definitely leaves you motivated. At the end of the day, all you can do is look at yourself in the mirror and work on what you got to get better. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, you know, it's always been, and I truly believe that as far as athletes are concerned, cliches are easy to pull out of your pocket. It's the walk the talk part that separates ordinary players with champions. And ordinary players can make millions and millions and millions because they only are able to do what they do when there's no pressure. So we're going to find out. There's no pressure right now. And with the Leafs, it's a situation where they got to make the playoffs so that they have an opportunity to prove they are a contender, because making the playoffs is no longer enough. They've done that over and over again. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Now they got to make the playoffs and do whatever it takes in how they get into the playoffs. That's where the, you know, the pressure to finish well, to ensure that you end up with a better opportunity. But last year proved that that didn't matter. They played the number 8 team and they didn't beat them. So I guess it comes down to being able to play in the playoffs the way you need to. And that's the biggest question that they can't even answer yet. They can't even think about it. They're all talking the same way, saying, well, we can't think that far ahead. Right now, we got to just get into the playoffs. We got to have a quick start, get there, you know, in a good place, make sure we get there, because it's going to be a tough division. They've all acknowledged it. Dubas, Matthews, everybody, Marner, they've all acknowledged that this is going to be, the Atlantic Division is going to be hell.
No, this is one of the tougher divisions to play in hockey as far as I'm concerned, just because it is so well stacked with teams. So their work is definitely cut out for them. I can appreciate them wanting to get off to a quick start to make it easier for them to get in the playoffs later in the year. The only issue that I can see here is how they go into the playoffs. Are they going to be going in on a winning note, or are they going to be going in on a losing note? And that's always going to be an issue of concern for fans.
Leaf fans should have a nice conversation with Blue Jay fans, because the East Division in the American League is a lot like the Atlantic Division in the National Hockey League. You can see how tough it is. It's a little tougher in baseball because not as many teams make the playoffs, but the loaded Atlantic, the Atlantic Division, and of course the East. So that's going to be really tough. After the first day of training camp sessions, Sheldon Keefe had some stuff to say. What's up on his ledger?
Well, after the first day of sessions, I know that everybody had all sorts of questions. What did you figure out? Some of the interesting things that he's done is he started with Nick Ritchie on Mitch Marner's line. Now, it's obviously it's a very difficult thing to make sure that you're going into camp ready, because everything operates at such a different level. Everything is just that much quicker. Everything is just that much harder to do. In particular, when talking about Sandin, he said that his level of consistency in his play and his confidence and execution to be who he is offensively and make plays is almost there. He's off to a really good start. The same thing goes with Liljegren, who has progressed as well a great deal from where he was as a Marley a couple of years back. As it stands, we're in good stead at this point, according to Keefe. It's just a question of everything rounding into shape just in time for the home opener on October 4th.
And then, as far as the home opener is concerned, William Nylander needs to be vaccinated. MLSE has a policy, tests or vaccination for him, and it sounds like he's going the vaccination route before the season starts.
Yeah. Now, he had indicated in an interview back on September 22nd that he wasn't fully vaccinated. He said this wasn't anything nefarious. There were some medical issues that he had to have taken care of over the course of the summer, which explained why he wasn't vaccinated. However, he did say, well, I mean, it's a really easy choice to get vaccinated, and that stands to reason. I mean, if you're going to be paying for your own medical care and your own health insurance, then I'd rather have the team pay for it. So getting myself the jab would be a no-brainer.
One would think.
Well, yeah.
The Jays lost their first 2 in Minnesota, then quickly evened the 4-game series at 2 apiece. Jansen, Springer, homer. Blue Jays beat Twins. Keep pressure on the other 2 teams that we talked about, the tough East Division, the Yankees and the Red Sox.
Now they're actually entering the final week, one
Yeah.
game back for the second AL wildcard spot. So that's, obviously a point of concern here. Yeah.
Are there
Uh,
any tiebreakers?
there are. I'm not sure who
We should
has
we
them
should
right now,
find.
to
Well,
be honest.
we're gonna either find out when the season ends, or we can figure it out as we move along. But it'll be very interesting. The National Football League had Aaron Rodgers with only 37 seconds left get his team close enough for a 51-yard field goal by Crosby. Amazing! I watched that game. It was amazing.
His reaction was absolutely priceless. I'm really glad that it managed to happen. He's had a rough start to the season.
Oh, he had a rough off season. Never mind, rough start to the season. The off
There's
season.
that too.
The offseason was a little tough. He didn't want to be a Green Bay Packer. He wanted to pack it in. He wanted to do the Lambeau leap out of Green Bay. He wanted to be history. And with a guy, well, his name's Aaron. What do you expect? Of course, he was fantastic.
Thank you, Frank. I'll take it.
And you will. And golf, how the USA dominated Europe to win the Ryder Cup 19-9. Usually they're a little closer than that, aren't they?
In general, it's usually a pretty close competition, but this was an across-the-board butt-kicking that wasn't ever close. Every single American player won at least 1 point during team play. The Sunday singles matches weren't quite a formality, but in the end, they retook the cup by 10 points. It's like a record-setting margin. I think it's the most points scored by any Ryder Cup team, I believe, since my brother was born. So that would be 1979.
Wow, that's a few years ago. That's good. And nothing says golf. No, never mind. I was going to make a crack about Shambo. he's not in a good place with some of the boys.
No, unfortunately not. But I'm pretty sure it'll work out to the good.
Absolutely, he can hit the ball a long distance. He's supposed to be taking part in one of those long drive contests.
Interesting.
Yeah, we'll keep our eye on it. We'll hear about it. Ontario reports 653 new COVID-19 infections and 6 more deaths from the virus.
So, this is. We seem to be trending in approximately the right direction. Out of the 653 cases, 499 of them are amongst individuals who aren't fully vaccinated or who refuse to disclose their immunization status. Currently, hospitals are treating 198 patients with COVID-19, including 177 in intensive care and 127 of those on a vent. Now, not all hospitals, we need to be aware, report their numbers on weekends, so this could actually see a jump. Good news is 85.8% of Ontarians aged 12 and older have received 1 dose of a COVID-19 vaccine,
wow,
and 80.2% have received both shots.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. So while it's very heartening news.
Well, I think when, it's a shame that people really need to have... It's a shame that people need to really be proven. It's just a shame. People dying in the hospital, and then we find out that people who aren't vaccinated are suffering the most deaths and suffering the most in hospital by 70, 80%. So I hope people understand that. I tell you, I'm speechless because we've talked about this so often, and we've heard so many things. I've tried to be objective. I know you have too. I've tried to be objective, but the objectivity isn't good enough anymore. It's now about the fact that the winter's coming, and the acceleration of the virus is coming. There's going to be more people getting the virus. It will be transmitted more and more as we are cloistering inside homes and inside indoor malls, not going to the beach, going to whatever indoor facility that we go to humor ourselves, hockey games, whatever, all that stuff that people do. We're going to start getting more people getting sick. The question is, how many more are going to be in intensive care? That's the concern. I sure hope people get it together. And then what happens? Well, you go to Dalhousie University, and they have a grand old party, don't they? Let's get together, cheek to cheek, cheek to jowl.
Yeah, Dal has condemned the actions of a lot of students who took part in street parties near campus over the weekend. They told them not to. But in the Jennings Street area, that was packed with hundreds of students. Deep Saini, Provo and Vice President Academic Frank Harvey, and Acting Vice Provo for Student Affairs Verity Turpin were like, guys, don't. Like, we're trying to tell you not to. And, I mean, there were 10 arrests for public intoxication. This, to me, has as much to do with COVID as it does with the maturity of youth who are unfortunately experiencing a little bit of liberty for the first time being away from home at Dalhousie, which is, 80%, non-provincial students coming in from out of town living in residence. It's the first time you've been without parents. It's the first time you're really able to drink alcohol legally. This is basically a recipe for disaster.
I guess recipe is a word for it. I think it's, yeah. Look, youthful exuberance can be something that cannot be harnessed or bridled. But
and the thing is, the university warned them, said, you're going into a private residential area to have these parties. People live here. They have to go to work the next day. What are you doing? Students went anyways because, hey, you can't.
Some of those pictures were amazing. We're talking cluster. People shoulder to shoulder. Amazing. COVID-19 cases are up nationwide. We're referring to the United States, of course, but the crush of hospitalizations is concentrated mostly in states where there are low rates of vaccination. And we know that already. Like I said, I'm speechless.
And, this raises all sorts of questions here because you have all these individuals who are making a choice based on their freedoms and, against government restrictions. They think they're being rebellious and taking a stand, but at the same time, they're creating public health issues for their areas. And you have to wonder, there are certain conditions to you getting medical insurance. Should there not also be conditions on you getting medical care? It's an interesting question to look at.
There's a choice that needs to be made. That's what happens with, at hospitals, that happens all the time. In emergency situations, that happens all the time. When you can't fit all the people in the hospital, they're treated outside, and then they're basically coded. This one here we'll take care of. This one here is a lost cause. This one here will be okay. You know what I'm getting at? It's really simple. Is that if you decide to make yourself prone to getting very ill, maybe you want to be very ill. I know that sounds stupid, but if you don't want to be ill, don't, do what you can to do your part.
As part of that, Alberta Health Services has actually indicated that they are actually reaching the triage stage because 90% of ICU beds are occupied.
Yeah, we only have 200 ventilators. So Mr. 201, you're out of luck.
Yep. Or, your case of COVID doesn't seem to be as bad. We're going to have to send you home for now.
Mm-hmm.
And if it gets any worse, you can try to come back, but we can't guarantee that we'll be able to treat you.
And like a bad team, you shite the bed.
Exactly.
Whether you like it or not. That's just the way it goes, I guess. Right, buddy?
Exactly. Get your shots, people.
Yeah. Give in. Yeah. Well, we're getting to the point where it's been basically, well, now, we're going with the third shot. So we'll see what happens. Good luck to everybody. Aaron, have a great day. Good luck enjoying the hockey game. I know you will. It'll be an interesting game. We never talked about the game they beat Montreal, but they beat Montreal in their first exhibition game. Toronto did
rather handily. It was fun.
Gabriel was my favorite player. You see him struggle coming back.
You can time him with a calendar.
That's why he's my favorite. He knew he had to get back, but yeah, it was too much. All right, buddy. Thanks for it. This was great.
Thank you, Frank.
Much appreciated. That's Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frank. Stanisci, thank you for watching Candid Frank Live. Aaron, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The show can also be heard at the Spanglish World Radio Network for Candid Frank Live, other news, sports, and entertainment programming we offer. Please check out spanglishworld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ciao for now.